My name is Kelsy, and I'm a registered Dietitian Nutritionist. Today's cooking demo will focus on fall produce here in Washington State. We will start off by learning how to cut a pumpkin safely and how we can use all parts of the pumpkin to minimize waste and maximize nutrition. Some key minerals will be highlighted, including magnesium and zinc. Also, I will share with you some tips for roasting pumpkin seeds to ensure they are nice and crisp. The recipes that will be demonstrated are spicy pumpkin salad with lentils and goat cheese, simple roasted pumpkin seeds, and my favorite, cranberry pear baked oatmeal. Hope you enjoy! Hello, welcome to Burden's Kitchen. Today we have some great recipes to highlight some local fall produce. We often think of summer as the best time of year for fresh fruits and vegetables here in the Pacific Northwest. But today, I want to show you some fall produce that may just rival those summer berries. So let's get started. As mentioned, we are going to learn how to safely cut a pumpkin. And these techniques can really be applied to any of your favorite squash. Tools needed are a large sharp knife and a cutting board. This pumpkin will be used for both the roasted pumpkin seeds and spicy pumpkin salad. Since we eventually will be roasting the pumpkin, I have the oven preheating to 400 and our second oven to 250. But no worries, you don't have to have two ovens to be able to do these recipes. You can just do them at different times. Okay, so let's learn how to cut our pumpkin safely. So you're going to have your large sharp knife and your cutting board and your pumpkin. If your pumpkin doesn't have a flat bottom, you can always trim off a piece off the bottom and keep it so it's not moving around. The key is to have it flat on the surface. And you're going to take your knife, your one hand's going to cup one side, and you're going to stick it in one of the grooves all the way in, and then push down so you get all the way to the bottom of the pumpkin. Then you're going to spin it around and do the same thing. Stick the knife in and then push all the way down. Now some people will then cut kind of through the stem if you can, if you're strong enough, but it gets a little scary that way, so we learned just to turn it over and then kind of follow those lines to cut through the bottom. And now you can see that it's open here and you can just pull it apart. Okay, so now we will spoon out the insides of the pumpkin because we're going to use these seeds later for our pumpkin roasted seed recipe. So we'll just put them in a bowl to the side. And I'm just using a large spoon and just kind of scraping the edges here to get it all out. And it doesn't have to be like perfect. There can be a little bit of the hairs. We do want to get all the seeds removed. But if some of the pulp is still in there, that's okay.
While we are removing the pulp and seeds, let's take a break to learn about two really important minerals found in pumpkin seeds. Magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in the body and plays a role in over 300 enzymatic reactions, from your nervous system all the way to your bones. Magnesium is required to make DNA, reproduce, produce energy, help control blood pressure, nervous system transmission, and so much more. The recommended dietary allowances, or RDAs, for adult men is 400 milligrams and women 310 milligrams per day. However, more than 50% of Americans are not getting adequate magnesium from their diet due to decreased intake of magnesium-rich foods. Chronic stress, poor dietary intake, alcohol abuse, malabsorption, and some medications all can contribute to magnesium deficiency or insufficiency. Green veggies are a major source of magnesium. Some other excellent food sources are nuts and seeds and whole grains. Some beans and legumes, fruit, and fish also provide moderate amounts of magnesium. The second mineral we'll take a look at is zinc. Zinc is considered an essential trace mineral because small amounts are necessary for human health. Like magnesium, zinc is required for more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. Zinc plays an important role in growth and development, repair of damaged DNA, reproduction, wound healing, immune response, and eye health. The RDA for adult men is 11 milligrams and for women is 8 milligrams per day. For strict vegetarians and vegans, the RDA may be greater as most rich sources of zinc come from animal products. Again, chronic stress, poor dietary intake, alcohol abuse, malabsorption, inflammatory bowel disease, chronic kidney failure, and some medications can contribute to a zinc deficiency or insufficiency. It is important to note that our bodies don't store excess zinc, so we must get it in our daily diet. Oysters contain more zinc per serving than any other food, but other good food sources include red meat, poultry, beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, fortified breakfast cereals, and dairy products. It is important to note that some of these sources contain phytates, an antioxidant compound that attaches to zinc and keeps our bodies from absorbing the full amount. To help with absorption, pair zinc-rich foods with acidic foods such as fruit. Other nutrients that help with absorption are vitamins A, E, B6, and guess what? Magnesium. If you think you could use more magnesium or zinc, try adding some of the foods listed into your daily diet or talk with a dietitian to learn how to optimize these minerals. Now, let's get back to preparing our pumpkin.
Okay, so now we got all the seeds removed, and we're gonna next peel the pumpkin. You don't necessarily have to do this when you're roasting it if the skin is thin enough. Like this pumpkin is a pie pumpkin, so the skin's a little thinner. But some people don't like that extra fibrous texture, so we will peel it. We're gonna just flip it over onto its flat side again. And then you're just gonna wanna think of using your knife to slice the skin off by pushing it away from you. So keeping yourself safe to remove the skin. So always away from you. And you can kind of see how I'm making like a claw with my hand to hold the pumpkin down, but it's also on the flat side, so it's safe. And then we will dice our pumpkin up to get it ready for roasting. So you're just gonna cut it in about 1 inch thick slices. Straight down, you can still kind of see the grooves. And you can see that I didn't perfectly get all the skin off because I don't mind some still on there. You could also use a peeler, like a vegetable peeler on these thinner skinned pumpkins or squash if you have like a delicata squash. I know the peelers work pretty well for that. And just getting these there, and then we're going to cube it up in about 1 inch pieces for roasting. And then we're going to take all of our pumpkin and place it in a bowl. And this is going to be used for the salad, so we're just going to toss it in a little olive oil and some of the spices that I called for. Alright, so we have all of our pumpkin in the bowl, and we're just going to add our olive oil. So 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to add our cumin. And the recipe calls for, I believe it's a teaspoon. I just kind of eye it, but you are more than welcome to measure it out. And then some paprika. And you could do some salt to taste if you want, but I will skip the salt. And then you just toss it all to evenly coat. and then we'll place it on a cookie sheet and roast it. So now we have our pumpkin evenly spread out on a cookie sheet, so this way it roasts nicely and doesn't steam. So you don't want to put too much on your sheet, you want to have it nice and evenly spread. And we'll stick it in the oven at 400. Voila! Okay, our next job is to get our seeds ready for roasting. And we're just gonna kind of separate some of this pulp away and place the seeds in a separate bowl. My dad makes awesome pumpkin seeds, and I was talking to him before getting ready for this little cooking demo, and I was like, how do you do your seeds, Dad, after reading a whole bunch of recipes online? And he actually uses this pulp and blends it up in a blender, and then adds a little water, and then re-tosses it with his pumpkin seeds and a little salt, and then he slow cooks them for about 12 hours at 200 degrees overnight. But I don't want to be in this kitchen for the next 12 hours, so we're going to do just a typical roasting that you'll see on the website for when you Google how to roast pumpkin seeds. And they don't reuse the pulp, but I thought that was kind of ingenious, so then we're using really everything from the pumpkin if he roasts his pumpkin like we are. But you'll see I'm not totally being perfect, again, about removing every single piece of pulp, but if you read online, they are going to tell you that the more you remove the better, just because the pulp holds fluid, and we want these to be drier before roasting, so we can roast them in an adequate amount of time, and they're not chewy, they're more crunchy that way. Okay, so we got pretty much all the seeds here, and then I'm just going to take a towel and kind of dry them off a little bit just to get any extra moisture out. You can use paper towels, you don't have to use a kitchen towel and get it all gooey. Just want to get any extra moisture out of there. And then we'll add, you could do butter, you could do ghee. I'm just again going to do a little bit of olive oil to coat. I think the technical recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to, again, spice mine up with the spices that we use to roast our pumpkin in. So we're just going to do a little cumin and a little paprika. Paprika gives it kind of like a more smoky flavor. So now that that's all even to coat, we will lay these out on a cookie sheet as well. And again, you want them evenly spread out. And these guys are going to roast at a much lower temperature at 250. And then we'll increase the temperature about 30 minutes into it just to get them a little bit more crispy. So you can see they're nice and spread out. And we'll just place them in our oven.
Let's review some tips to ensure crispy roasted pumpkin seeds. First, dry seeds thoroughly before roasting. You could air dry them or use a cloth to soak up excess moisture. 2. Remove the pulp, or slow roast with pulp for a really long time. 3. Make sure to bake the seeds at a low temperature for at least 45 minutes, and then increase the temperature to 325 degrees after 45 minutes, and roast at least another 5 minutes or until golden brown. 4. Avoid adding too many seeds by arranging seeds in a single layer on the baking sheet. And 5. Once cooked, enjoy as a snack, salad, or soup topper, blended into smoothies, or added to your favorite trail mix.
Okay, so we have our pumpkin in the oven and the seeds in the oven, so let's continue prepping our salad. We have about 2 cups of fresh arugula, and then I'm also using this beautiful kale because this time of year in Washington we're still getting kale. I swear it's one of the most hearty vegetables that we have. especially if you're growing it outside kind of next to your house where it can stay a little bit warmer. I've seen kale grow well into November. So I love to use it. Lots of health attributes, loaded with fiber. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just de-stemming it from the stalks because these can be pretty bitter. And I'll put those in the compost. And we just need about 2 cups worth. And some people don't like kale because they find it to be more bitter than a lot of your other leafy greens. But I'm going to give you a little trick to not have it as bitter. You're going to give your kale a little massage. So I ripped it off all from the stalks, and then I'm just going to kind of set it up on top of this arugula here. But I'm going to leave the arugula alone because the arugula won't like the massage. And then we're going to add just a little bit, just a teeny bit of salt, because that helps kind of break down some of the bitter compounds found in the kale. And then sometimes if I had paper towels, I would kind of wrap my hands in paper towels and to get out some of the moisture, but we're just going to kind of use our bare hands since I'm not sharing this salad with anybody. I did wash them. And we're just going to break up those bitter compounds of the kale. And you'll see that it starts to get a little bit more wilty looking. And to soak some of this moisture up, I'm just going to use this little kitchen towel just to kind of keep soaking some of the moisture that's coming out from me squeezing it. And this is going to just help it be less bitter. And I also use arugula because it has a little more of a spicy taste, and then if you're getting used to the flavor of kale, then you can mix it with another leafy green that you enjoy more and see if that helps with the flavor component of it. But I really do love it after a good little massage. It's not bitter at all. So you can see that it even kind of shrunk up a little bit, and it's nice and fluffy still, and we'll just mix it, blend it in with this arugula to create our salad. And then this recipe calls for mint, and believe it or not, mint comes in over 30 varietals, and it's in season here in Washington State right now. This is considered an in-season fall produce, so I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think people think of mint as something as a local leafy herb that we enjoy, and it's just gonna again give this salad a little bit more depth and complexity. And I'm just stacking my leaves to do this fun little slice, and then I'm gonna roll them up, and then it's called chiffonade. And we get nice little thin pieces to intermix throughout it, just to add to a flavor of the salad. So now that that's prepped, we are boiling some water over here for our lentils, and we added some salt to the water to help get it boiling and going. And then we're just going to add our lentils. This is 3/4 cup in here. Give it a good stir. And these are going to cook for about 30 minutes in this boiling, rolling water, and then we'll drain and cool them, and that will be added to our salad when our squash is done. So we have our lentils here, they're still boiling. We're going to let them keep doing that for our salad, and we're going to move on to one of my most favorite recipes, the Cranberry, Pear, Walnut oatmeal. It's a baked oatmeal, and I love all forms of baked oatmeal. This one just highlights, again, 2 more very popular fall produce, including pear and then cranberries. And maybe cranberries isn't as popular. We always think of cranberry sauce, and they're probably less utilized, but they actually are sold frozen or fresh, and you can use either in this recipe, and they bake up and create just a nice tartness. So let's get started on this. First, we're gonna mix our dry ingredients together. So we'll do 2 cups of our oatmeal. And I just do an old-fashioned oat. I have never tried it with steel cut oats. I'm sure it would be good, maybe just a little denser. But for cooking, for the time purposes on this, you probably just want to stick with an old-fashioned quick cooking oat. This to the side. And then we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So what's great about baked oatmeal is you really can do any fruit that you have on hand. If you have everything for the base, the oats and the oil, you really can add whatever you want to it. And it can be frozen or fresh. And then we're gonna do just a little teaspoon or a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just mix that together. And then next we'll mix our wet ingredients, and you can actually just do it if you have a larger pitcher like this, measuring cup, you can just use this. So I measured out already my 1 1/4 cup milk. I'm choosing to use just some hemp milk because that's what I had in my fridge, but you can use any varietal of nut milk or regular cow's milk that you like. So we're gonna take this and then we're gonna add our honey. And that is 2 teaspoons. You could also do maple syrup if you have that and prefer that on hand, or if you're vegan and don't want to use the honey, maple syrup would be a really nice addition here. Then we're going to add our vanilla. And that is 2 teaspoons as well. And we're just going to combine this all together. That honey probably sunk to the bottom, so you really want to mix it in. So there's no added sugar to this recipe. Well, I guess the honey has a little bit of it is an added sugar, but it's not a lot. And it's really the fruit that is sweetening it up. And now I'm just combining this milk mixture with the oats. And I'm going to stir to combine. And then we're going to add our pre-mashed 1 banana. And then we have 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And just drizzle that in. And I melted it in the microwave. So we're getting this nice thick mixture here. And then we're going to add our fruit. So first I'll add our pears. They're nice and already diced up. You can peel them if you don't like the skin, but really it's so thin that you might as well have it because it's a little extra fiber. And pears are very much in season right now. I found this, I think it's a 2-pound bag for $5, so there's like 5 pears of organic pears at Sprouts, and they're delicious. And for pears, you want to buy them and just kind of let them ripen up on the counter for a day or 2, and then add them to the fridge so they don't get too mushy. And then we're going to add our cranberries. And this is just 3/4 of a cup of cranberries. Again, you can find them frozen in a bag like this or fresh in those containers, and you're seeing it pop up everywhere, especially for the holiday. And then we mix those in. And last but not least, we're going to add some chopped up almonds. You could really do any nut you want here. Walnuts, pecans are really good in baked oatmeal. You don't even have to do a nut if you don't want to. It just adds some extra healthy fats and fiber and a little protein and just gives it kind of some crunch. And then we're going to take this mixture and add it to our pre-greased pan, an 8x8 dish. You could also do 9x9. And then just spread it out evenly. And I'm gonna add a little bit more cinnamon on top just because I really enjoy cinnamon spice. You could also do your pumpkin pie spice. This also just gives it a little bit of a better golden color. And then, so now we have our baked oatmeal and we'll just pop it in the oven at 350 or 375 and it will bake for about 30 minutes. And voila! That baked oatmeal is an awesome breakfast option. You can pair it with like a Greek yogurt for some added protein, or it's just a really good dessert option too. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. So we have our pumpkins roasted, our seeds are ready to go. Let's make our salad and we'll just put it all together. Oh, and then we have also our lentils. They've been draining over here and cooling off. So we're just gonna combine everything and toss it with some vinegar and oil and top with some goat cheese and it will be complete. So this recipe makes 4 meal-sized servings of salad. You could also use it as an appetizer and split it up into like 6 or 8. But as a meal, this is a complete meal with our lentils, chocked full of protein, fiber, and I believe a serving, there's more than 20 grams of protein in this salad. Per salad if we do 4 servings. So I'm just going to sprinkle the lentils on here. And then we're going to just toss this all together. Mix the arugula, the kale, the mint, our pumpkin. And then add some goat cheese. Ours got a little warm, so it's not as crumbly. You can also buy this pre-crumbled. This will just give it some nice flavor. And then, you don't have to, but I thought it would be fun just to add some of our roasted pumpkin seeds for a little crunch. And just, as we talked about earlier, these are loaded with magnesium and zinc of the seeds of the pumpkins. We'll add it here. And then just a little bit of olive oil and balsamic. And to dress it up. You could also use another dressing if you want to, but the salad's pretty flavorful with the roasted pumpkin and all those spices that we added. I'm just doing 2 tablespoons of the vinegar and 2 of the oil. And again, you could toss it up or just kind of leave it there to dress. But here is your beautiful spicy pumpkin salad. Thanks for joining us, and we'll